The crystal glass shattered against the marble floor, and Claire Ross froze in the doorway of Luigi Verone's private office, her heart hammering against her ribs. She wasn't supposed to be here, not at 11:30 at night, not when the penthouse should have been empty except for the night security downstairs. But she'd forgotten her phone in the cleaning cart, and now she stood paralyzed as the most dangerous man in Manhattan turned to face her, his dark eyes blazing with an intensity that made her skin burn. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Verone. I didn't know anyone was here. I'll come back tomorrow for my—" Claire's words died in her throat as Luigi crossed the room in 3 long strides, his hand wrapping around her wrist with surprising gentleness. "How long have you been standing there?" His voice was low, controlled, but she could hear the edge of something darker underneath, something that made her pulse race for reasons that had nothing to do with fear. "I just arrived. I swear I didn't see or hear anything. Please, I need this job." "Claire." The way he said her name made her look up, meeting those penetrating eyes that seemed to see straight through her. "I'm not going to fire you, but I need you to tell me the truth. Have you noticed anything unusual in this office? Anything out of place?" Her mouth went dry. This was it, the moment she'd been dreading for 3 days, ever since she'd found it while dusting the bookshelf behind his desk. She'd told herself to stay quiet, to mind her own business, to remember that girls like her didn't survive in Luigi Verone's world by asking questions. But looking at him now, at the tension in his jaw and the concern flickering behind that carefully controlled exterior, she couldn't stay silent. "There's a camera in your office," she whispered, the words rushing out before she could stop them. "Hidden in the spine of the law book on the 3rd shelf, the one with the gold lettering." Luigi's entire body went still. For a moment, Claire thought she'd made a terrible mistake. Then his thumb brushed across her wrist, right over her racing pulse, and his expression shifted into something that made her knees weak. "Show me." He didn't let go of her wrist as she led him to the bookshelf. Claire reached up, her fingers trembling as she pulled out the leather-bound volume of corporate law that probably cost more than her entire year's salary. She opened it carefully, revealing the hollowed-out interior and the tiny camera lens pointed directly at his desk. "Madonna Santa," Luigi breathed, his accent thickening with anger. His hand tightened on her wrist, not enough to hurt, but enough to ground her as his other hand pulled out his phone. "How long have you known about this?" 3 days. "I'm sorry, I should have told you immediately, but I was scared. I didn't know if it was something you'd placed there yourself, or if telling you would put me in danger, or—" "Look at me, Claire." Luigi's voice cut through her panic, firm but not harsh. When she met his eyes, she saw something that stunned her. Concern, real, genuine concern for her safety. "You did the right thing by telling me now. But I need you to understand something. Whoever planted this camera knows you work here. If they've been watching, they may have seen you discover it." The implication hit her like ice water. Oh God. "Listen to me carefully." Luigi set the book down and turned to face her fully, both hands now framing her arms, his touch warm through the thin fabric of her uniform. "From this moment on, you don't leave this building without security. You don't talk to anyone about what you found, and you definitely don't go home tonight. I can't just stay here, my apartment, my things. I'll send someone to collect whatever you need, but right now, your safety is what matters." His jaw clenched, a muscle ticking beneath the sharp line of his cheekbone. "These people, whoever they are, they don't play games, and I won't let them hurt you because you were brave enough to warn me." Claire's breath caught as Luigi's dark eyes searched her face with an intensity that felt almost physical. She'd worked in his penthouse for 8 months, maintaining the pristine luxury of his $30 million residence. But she'd never been this close to him. Never close enough to see the flecks of gold in his irises or smell the intoxicating combination of expensive cologne and something uniquely him. "Why do you care?" The question escaped before she could stop it. "I'm just your maid." Something dangerous flashed across Luigi's face. "You stopped being just anything the moment you risked yourself to warn me, Tesoro." The Italian endearment sent heat spiraling through her stomach. Before she could respond, Luigi released her and pulled out his phone, his expression hardening into the ruthless businessman she'd glimpsed in passing. He spoke rapidly in Italian, his voice sharp with command, and Claire caught enough words to understand he was ordering a security sweep of the entire building. "Tony will be here in 10 minutes, Luigi said, switching back to English as he pocketed his phone. "He's my head of security. He'll ask you questions about when you found the camera, if you've noticed anyone suspicious around the building, things like that. I need you to tell him everything, no matter how insignificant it seems. Can you do that for me?" Claire nodded, her mind racing. She'd heard stories about Luigi Verone. Everyone in New York had. The young billionaire who'd inherited his family's empire at 19 and turned it into something even more powerful. The man who moved in circles where billion-dollar deals happened over whiskey and handshakes, where loyalty was everything and betrayal meant disappearing into the East River. She'd never believed she'd be anything more than invisible to him. A face he passed in the hallway, a name he might remember if pressed. But now he was looking at her like she mattered. Like her safety was important enough to disrupt his entire night. "There's something else," Claire said quietly. "I don't know if it means anything, but 3 weeks ago I saw someone in the building I didn't recognize. A woman. She was coming out of the service elevator on this floor, and when she saw me, she looked startled. She said she was looking for the gym, but the gym is on the 10th floor. Everyone who lives here knows that." Luigi's expression turned predatory. "Describe her." Mid-30s, blonde, expensive clothes. She had a Hermes bag and Louboutin heels. Definitely not service staff. "Did she give you a name?" Claire shook her head. "She left before I could ask. But Mr. Delgado was here that day, your advisor. He might have seen her." Something flickered across Luigi's face too quickly for Claire to read. "Marcus was here? Are you certain?" "Yes. He arrived around 2, about an hour before I saw the woman." Luigi turned away, his hands bracing against his desk as he stared down at the polished surface. Claire watched the tension coil through his shoulders, saw the way his fingers pressed against the wood hard enough to whiten his knuckles. "Mr. Verone, did I say something wrong?" "No, Cara. You said something very right." He straightened, turning back to her with an expression that made her stomach flip. "Which is exactly why you're not leaving my sight until I know who's behind this." Before Claire could process that statement, the elevator chimed. Luigi moved in front of her instinctively, his body a shield between her and the doors, and Claire felt something shift in her chest at the protective gesture. A mountain of a man emerged from the elevator, his scarred face softening slightly when he saw Luigi. "Boss, we've got a problem." "I'm aware, Tony. This is Claire Ross. She found a camera in my office." Luigi gestured to the bookshelf without taking his eyes off his security chief. "I want this entire floor swept immediately. Every room, every air vent, every goddamn flower pot. And I want to know who's had access to this penthouse in the last month besides household staff." Tony's gaze shifted to Claire, assessing her with professional efficiency before nodding. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to walk me through exactly what you found and when." For the next 20 minutes, Claire recounted every detail she could remember while Luigi paced the office like a caged panther, his phone pressed to his ear as he conducted his own investigation in rapid Italian. Tony's questions were thorough but not intimidating, and gradually, Claire felt her racing heart begin to slow. Until Tony said, "We found 3 more cameras, one in the master bedroom, one in the living room, and one in the wine cellar." Luigi's expression turned murderous. "The wine cellar? Who the hell has access to my wine cellar?" "That's the interesting part, boss. According to the access logs, only 3 people have been down there in the last month. You, Marcus Delgado, and Vincent Caruso." The name hit the room like a bomb. Claire didn't know much about New York's underworld, but even she knew the Caruso family. Old money, old power, and old grudges. "Vincent Caruso hasn't set foot in this building in 5 years, Luigi said, his voice deadly quiet. "Not since his daughter and I ended our engagement." Claire's eyes widened. Luigi had been engaged? To a Caruso? "Then someone's spoofing his access card," Tony replied. "Or he gave it to someone else." Luigi's jaw clenched. "Get me everything you have on the Caruso family's movements in the last 6 months. Business deals, property acquisitions, every damn dinner reservation, and double the security on this floor. No one gets up here without my explicit authorization." "What about Miss Ross?" Tony asked, glancing at Claire. "Where do you want her?" "The guest suite in the east wing. It's the most secure room after my bedroom, and it shares the same security system." Luigi's eyes found Claire's, and the intensity there made her breath catch. "You'll be comfortable there. Anything you need, just ask." "I can't impose on you like this," Claire protested weakly. "Maybe I could just stay at a hotel." "No." The single word was absolute. "Hotels can be compromised. Here, I can protect you. But why would anyone want to hurt me? I'm nobody." Luigi crossed the room in 2 strides, stopping close enough that Claire had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. "You're a witness, Claire. You found evidence that someone is spying on me. That makes you valuable. And in my world, valuable things are either protected or exploited." His hand rose, his fingers brushing a strand of dark hair from her face with unexpected tenderness. "I choose to protect you." The touch sent electricity racing across Claire's skin. She should step back, should remember that this man was dangerous, that his world was built on secrets and power plays she couldn't begin to understand. But she couldn't make herself move away from the warmth of his presence. "What if I don't want to be protected?" she whispered. Something hot and hungry flashed in Luigi's eyes. "Then you're going to have to convince me you're safer without me, Tesoro. And I should warn you, I'm not easily convinced." A phone buzzed, shattering the moment. Luigi pulled back with visible reluctance, checking the screen and frowning. "Tony, take Claire to the guest suite. Make sure she has everything she needs." "Wait," Claire said as Luigi turned toward the elevator. "Where are you going?" He paused, glancing back at her with an expression that was equal parts dangerous and devastatingly attractive. "To have a conversation with Marcus Delgado. He has some explaining to do about Vincent Caruso's access card." "At midnight?" Luigi's smile was sharp enough to cut. "In my world, Kara, the most important conversations happen when most people are asleep. Don't worry, I'll be back before morning." As the elevator doors closed behind him, Claire felt an inexplicable twist of worry in her chest. She barely knew this man, had spoken more words to him tonight than in all the previous 8 months combined. But something had shifted between them in that office. Something that felt dangerous and thrilling and completely impossible. "Miss Ross?" Tony's voice was gentle despite his intimidating appearance. "Let me show you to your room. The boss would have my head if anything happened to you while he was gone." Claire followed him through the penthouse, her mind spinning. Just 12 hours ago, her biggest concern had been whether she'd have enough money to send her sister Emma for the nursing program she wanted to attend. Now she was caught in the middle of something she didn't understand, protected by a man whose touch made her forget every reason she should stay away. The guest suite was stunning, all cream silk and soft lighting, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Manhattan skyline. Tony did a sweep of the room, checking every corner before nodding with satisfaction. "You're safe here, Miss Ross. This room has reinforced windows, a panic button by the bed, and a direct line to the security office. If you need anything, anything at all, you press that button and someone will be here in 30 seconds. "Thank you, Tony, and please, call me Claire." The big man's expression softened. "Get some rest, Claire. The boss will want to talk to you more in the morning, and he's going to have a lot of questions." After Tony left, Claire sank onto the edge of the massive bed, her hands trembling slightly as the adrenaline began to fade. She should be terrified, should be planning how to extract herself from this situation as quickly as possible. Instead, all she could think about was the way Luigi had looked at her, the way his touch had felt, the way he'd said her name like it was something precious. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Sleep well, Tesoro. You're safe now." Claire's heart skipped as she stared at the message. How had he gotten her number? More importantly, why did knowing he was thinking about her make her feel safer than any security system could? She typed back, "How did you know I'd be worrying?" His response came immediately, "Because you have a tell. You bite your lower lip when you're nervous. It's distracting as hell." Heat flooded Claire's cheeks. He'd noticed that. She found herself touching her lip, remembering the intensity of his gaze. "Get some rest." Luigi's next message read, Tomorrow, things get complicated. Claire looked out at the glittering New York skyline, at the city that suddenly felt full of shadows and secrets. She'd wanted adventure, had dreamed of a life bigger than scrubbing floors and counting pennies. Be careful what you wish for, her mother used to say. As Claire finally climbed under the silk sheets, one thought kept circling through her mind. What had she gotten herself into? And why did part of her desperately want to find out? Claire woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the smell of fresh coffee. For a disoriented moment, she forgot where she was. Then the previous night came rushing back. The camera, Luigi's protective intensity, the way his fingers had felt brushing her face. She sat up quickly, her heart racing, and found a note on the nightstand written in bold, confident handwriting. Breakfast is waiting in the kitchen. We need to talk. L. 20 minutes later, after the fastest shower of her life and pulling on the same clothes from yesterday, Claire followed the scent of coffee through the penthouse. She found Luigi in the kitchen, leaning against the marble counter with a phone pressed to his ear, his shirt sleeves rolled up to reveal muscular forearms. He looked like he hadn't slept at all. When he saw her, something shifted in his expression. He ended his call abruptly and set the phone down. "You didn't sleep," Claire said, taking in the tension around his eyes. "Neither did you, if those shadows under your eyes are any indication." Luigi pulled out a chair at the kitchen island. "Sit, eat, then we talk." Claire's stomach growled at the sight of the spread before her. Fresh pastries, fruit, eggs Benedict, freshly squeezed orange juice. "This is too much. You'll need your strength." Luigi poured her coffee, adding cream without asking how she took it. When she raised her eyebrows, he smiled slightly. "I pay attention, Claire. You always add cream to the coffee pot in my office after you clean, no sugar." The fact that he'd noticed such a small detail about her made Claire's pulse quicken. She took a sip, trying to ignore how intimate this felt, sitting in Luigi Verone's kitchen while he watched her with those intense dark eyes. "What did Marcus say?" she asked finally. Luigi's expression hardened. "Marcus claims he hasn't seen Vincent Caruso in months. Says his access card was stolen from his gym locker 3 weeks ago. He filed a police report but conveniently never mentioned it to me. Do you believe him?" "I believe Marcus is hiding something. Whether it's betrayal or incompetence, I haven't decided yet." Luigi moved around the counter, standing close enough that Claire could feel the heat radiating from his body. "But I'm not taking chances with your safety while I figure it out. Which brings me to what we need to discuss." Claire set down her coffee cup, her stomach fluttering nervously. "I'm listening." "You can't go back to your apartment. Not until we know who's behind the surveillance and what they want." Luigi's voice was firm, brooking no argument. "I've already had your belongings moved here. Your lease has been paid through the end of the year, but you'll stay in the guest suite." "You moved my things? Without asking?" Claire stood abruptly, anger flashing through her shock. "You can't just decide my life for me, Mr. Verone." "Luigi." He caught her wrist gently as she tried to move past him. "And yes, I can. Because the alternative is you going back to that apartment where anyone could be waiting. Is that what you want?" "I want to have a choice." "Then choose to trust me." Luigi's thumb traced circles on the inside of her wrist, his touch both calming and electrifying. "Choose to let me keep you safe while I handle this." Claire looked up at him, at the fierce protectiveness in his eyes, and felt her anger deflate. "This is insane. Yesterday I was your maid. Today I'm living in your penthouse like some kind of... like someone I care about," Luigi interrupted, his voice low and rough. "Someone who put herself at risk to warn me. That means something in my world, Claire. Loyalty means everything. I'm not part of your world. You are now." His hand slid from her wrist to her palm, his fingers intertwining with hers. "The moment you found that camera, you became part of it. I'm sorry for that. But I'm not sorry you're here." Before Claire could respond, the elevator chimed. Luigi released her hand immediately, his entire demeanor shifting into something colder, more dangerous. A stunning blonde woman emerged, her designer dress probably worth more than Claire's car, her red lips curved in a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Luigi, darling, I heard you had some security concerns. I came as soon as Vincent told me. The woman's gaze slid to Claire, her smile sharpening. And who is this? Luigi's jaw clenched. Sophia. What are you doing here? Sophia. The ex-fiancée. Claire felt her stomach drop as the beautiful woman crossed the room with the confidence of someone who'd walked these floors 1,000 times before. Vincent said you accused him of breaking into your home. That's absurd, Luigi. He's been in Milan for 3 months. Sophia's eyes never left Claire. Besides, if you were having security issues, you should have called me. I still know this place better than anyone. You lost that privilege when you walked out 5 years ago, Luigi said coldly. Did I? Sophia's laugh was musical and cruel. Funny, because I remember you begging me to stay, promising me everything if I'd just give you one more chance. Claire felt like she'd been punched. She took a step back, but Luigi's hand shot out, catching her elbow. Don't, he said quietly, his eyes locked on Sophia. Don't run. Oh, how sweet, Sophia purred, circling them like a predator. The maid thinks she's special. Tell me, Claire. It is Claire, isn't it? Did Luigi tell you why I left him? Did he explain that he's incapable of putting anything before his precious empire? Sophia, that's enough. Luigi's voice was dangerous now, low and threatening. You need to leave. Not until I warn this poor girl what she's getting into. Sophia stopped in front of Claire, her perfume overwhelming and expensive. He'll make you feel like the center of his universe, like nothing matters but keeping you safe. But the moment his business calls, you'll be forgotten. Ask me how I know. The difference, Luigi said, his hand sliding from Claire's elbow to the small of her back, is that Claire doesn't demand I choose between her and my responsibilities. She understands loyalty. Sophia's eyes flashed with anger. Loyalty? Is that what you're calling it now? How loyal will she be when she realizes what you really are, Luigi, when she sees the blood on your hands? Claire felt Luigi tense behind her, but she surprised herself by speaking first. I think you should leave, Miss Caruso. You clearly have issues with Mr. Verone, but they're not my concern. Not your concern? Sophia laughed. Oh, sweetheart, you have no idea what you've walked into, but you will. Soon enough, you'll understand exactly what it means to be close to Luigi Verone. Tony appeared from the elevator, his expression apologetic. Boss, I'm sorry. She had a guest pass from before. Revoke it, Luigi ordered, effective immediately, and escort Miss Caruso out. Sophia's smile was pure venom as Tony took her arm. This isn't over, Luigi. My father wants to talk to you, about our families, about the future, and you know you can't refuse him forever. After she left, silence filled the kitchen. Claire could feel Luigi's hand still pressed against her back, could sense the tension radiating through him. I'm sorry you had to witness that, he said finally. Claire turned to face him. Did you beg her to stay? No. Luigi's answer was immediate and firm. 5 years ago, Sophia decided that being engaged to me meant she owned me. When I wouldn't leave my family's business to move to Milan with her, she gave me an ultimatum. I chose my responsibilities. And now she's back. Now she's playing games I don't understand yet. Luigi's hand moved to cup her face, his thumb brushing her cheek. But I need you to hear this, Claire. Whatever Sophia says, whatever she implies, you're not a replacement for her. You're not a distraction or a game piece. You're... What am I? Claire whispered, her heart pounding. Something I didn't expect. Something that scares the hell out of me. His eyes searched her face with an intensity that stole her breath. I've spent 15 years building walls, keeping everyone at a distance, and you walked through them like they were made of paper. Claire's breath caught as Luigi leaned closer, his lips inches from hers. She could feel the heat of him, smell the intoxicating scent of his cologne mixed with coffee and something uniquely masculine. The elevator chimed again, and Luigi cursed in Italian, stepping back as Tony returned. Boss, we've got another problem. Marcus is here and he's got evidence you need to see. Luigi's expression shifted immediately, the vulnerable man disappearing behind the ruthless businessman. Bring him to my office. Claire, wait here. No. Claire straightened her shoulders. If this is about the cameras, I want to hear it. Claire, you said I'm part of your world now, so let me be part of it. She met his gaze steadily. Besides, I'm the one who found the first camera. Maybe I'll notice something others won't. Luigi studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Stay close to me. If things get heated, you don't intervene. Understood? Understood. Marcus Delgado was waiting in Luigi's office, a tablet in his hands and sweat beading on his forehead despite the air conditioning. He stood quickly when they entered, his eyes darting nervously to Claire. Mr. Veroni, I know how this looks, but I swear I had nothing to do with— Show me the evidence, Luigi interrupted, moving behind his desk with predatory grace. Marcus handed over the tablet with shaking hands. I hired a private investigator after our conversation last night to clear my name. He found this. Luigi's expression darkened as he studied the screen. Sophia. She's been meeting with someone from the Benedetti family 3 times in the last month. And look at the date of the last meeting. Marcus pointed to the screen. The day before Claire found the first camera. Claire moved closer, looking over Luigi's shoulder at the photos. Sophia was clearly visible sitting across from a man in an expensive suit, their heads bent together in conversation. The Benedettis, Luigi said softly, dangerously. They've been trying to move into my territory for 2 years, and Sophia's helping them. There's more, Marcus said. The investigator traced the cameras. They were purchased using a dummy corporation registered in the Cayman Islands, but the shipping address was in Brooklyn, an old warehouse owned by, let me guess, the Benedetti family. Marcus nodded miserably. I'm sorry, boss. I should have been more careful with my access card. This is my fault. No. Luigi's voice was hard as steel. This is Sophia's fault, and she's going to answer for it. Claire felt a chill run down her spine at the cold fury in Luigi's tone. This was the man Sophia had warned her about, the one with blood on his hands. She should be terrified. Instead, she found herself asking, "What are you going to do?" Luigi looked at her, and for a moment his expression softened. What I have to. But first, I'm going to make sure you're completely safe. Marcus, I want security tripled. No one gets near Claire without going through me personally. Boss, with all due respect, maybe Miss Ross should be moved to a safe house, somewhere off the grid. If Sophia knows about her— Sophia doesn't know anything about Claire except that she works here, Luigi interrupted. And it's going to stay that way. Claire stays with me. But that's final, Marcus. Luigi's tone brooked no argument. Now get out, both of you. I need to make some calls. Marcus left quickly, relief evident on his face. Claire started to follow, but Luigi's voice stopped her. Not you, Tesoro. We need to talk about what happens next. Claire turned back, finding Luigi standing by the windows, his shoulders tense as he looked out at the city. She moved to stand beside him, following his gaze to the sprawling metropolis below. You're angry, she said quietly. I'm furious. Sophia didn't just betray me. She put you in danger. She brought the Benedettis into this building, let them plant cameras, and for what? To help them take over my territory? Luigi's hands clenched into fists. She has no idea what she started. What will you do to her? Nothing that will keep me up at night. Luigi turned to face her, his eyes blazing. But I need to know, Claire. Are you going to be able to handle what comes next? Because once I move against the Benedettis, there's no going back. Things are going to get dangerous. Claire thought about her safe, predictable life before yesterday. About how she'd spent years playing it safe, avoiding risks, dreaming of adventure but never actually reaching for it. I found the camera, she said finally. I could have pretended I didn't see it. Could have walked away and kept my head down, but I didn't. I told you. So maybe I've already decided what I can handle. Luigi's expression shifted, something hot and hungry flashing in his eyes. You're either very brave or very foolish, Claire Ross. Maybe I'm both. He closed the distance between them in 2 strides, his hands framing her face as he stared down at her with an intensity that stole her breath. I'm going to kiss you now. If you don't want that, tell me to stop. Claire's heart hammered against her ribs. Every rational part of her brain screamed that this was a terrible idea, that getting involved with Luigi Verone would only lead to heartbreak and danger. But when she looked into his eyes, she didn't see the ruthless businessman or the dangerous man Sofia had warned her about. She saw the person who'd noticed how she took her coffee, who'd moved her things to keep her safe, who looked at her like she was precious. "Don't stop," she whispered. Luigi's mouth crashed onto hers with devastating intensity, his lips claiming hers in a kiss that made her forget every reason this was complicated. Claire's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer as his arms wrapped around her waist, lifting her slightly off the ground. The kiss was fire and desperation, need and promise. Luigi kissed her like he was drowning and she was air, like nothing else in the world mattered but this moment, this connection. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. Luigi rested his forehead against hers, his hands still cradling her face with unexpected tenderness. "This changes everything," he said roughly. "I know. I can't promise you safe. I can't promise you easy. I'm not asking for that." Claire met his eyes steadily. "But I am asking for honest. Whatever this is, whatever happens, don't lie to me. Never." Luigi's thumb traced her swollen lips. "I promise you, Tesoro. Whatever else I am, I won't lie to you." A phone buzzed, shattering the moment. Luigi cursed, pulling his phone from his pocket and frowning at the screen. "I have to take this. It's about the Benedettis." He pressed a kiss to her forehead. "Stay in the penthouse today. Don't go anywhere without Tony or one of the other guards. Please." "Where are you going?" "To remind New York exactly who controls this city." Luigi's smile was sharp and dangerous. "And to make sure Sofia Caruso regrets the day she decided to cross me." After he left, Claire sank into the chair by his desk, her fingers touching her lips where she could still feel the brand of his kiss. Through the window she could see the city stretching endlessly in all directions, full of secrets and shadows. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Stay away from him. This is your only warning." A friend. Claire's blood ran cold. She took a screenshot and immediately texted it to Luigi. His response came seconds later. "Don't leave the penthouse. I'm sending Tony back now. We're not done with this conversation." Claire looked at the message on her screen again, her stomach twisting with a mixture of fear and defiance. Someone was watching her. Someone knew about her connection to Luigi. And whoever they were, they'd just made this personal. She stood, moving to the window and looking out at the glittering city. Somewhere out there, Sofia and the Benedettis were plotting. Somewhere, enemies were circling. But Claire had spent her whole life being invisible, being safe, being forgettable. Maybe it was time to be something else. Maybe it was time to be dangerous too. The charity gala was supposed to be safe. Luigi had assured Claire that the Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom, filled with New York's elite and surrounded by his security team, was the last place anyone would make a move against them. He'd been wrong. Claire stood in front of the full-length mirror in Luigi's penthouse, smoothing down the emerald silk gown he'd had delivered that morning. It fit perfectly, hugging her curves before flowing to the floor in elegant waves. She barely recognized herself. "You look breathtaking." Luigi's voice came from the doorway, and Claire turned to find him leaning against the frame in a black tuxedo that made him look like sin incarnated. His eyes traveled over her slowly, possessively. "That color is perfect on you." "You chose it," Claire said, her pulse quickening as he crossed the room toward her. "I know what I like." Luigi's hand settled on her waist, pulling her close. "And I like you in my colors." In the 3 days since their first kiss, the tension between them had only intensified. Luigi had been busy handling the Benedetti situation, but every night he'd returned to find Claire waiting, and every night had ended with heated kisses that left them both wanting more. But tonight felt different. Tonight, Luigi was taking her into his world publicly. "Are you sure about this?" Claire asked, her fingers adjusting his bow tie unnecessarily. "Sofia will be there. The Carusos will be there. Everyone will know that you're mine." Luigi tilted her chin up, his dark eyes intense. "That's exactly what I want them to know, Tesoro. Let them see that I've chosen you." Claire's breath caught at the possessiveness in his tone. "Luigi, I know this is fast. I know it's complicated. His thumb brushed her lower lip, the gesture now familiar and devastating. But I haven't felt this alive in years, Claire. You make me want things I thought I'd given up on. Before she could respond, Tony's voice came through the intercom. Boss, the car's ready. The plaza was magnificent, the ballroom glittering with chandeliers and filled with the cream of New York society. Claire felt every eye turn toward them as Luigi guided her through the entrance, his hand possessive on the small of her back. Ignore them, he murmured in her ear. They're just jealous. Of what? That I found someone real in a room full of masks. Claire was smiling at his words when she saw Sophia across the room, stunning in a red dress that matched her lips. The blonde's eyes narrowed dangerously when she spotted them together. She looks ready to commit murder, Claire whispered. Let her look. Luigi's hand tightened on her waist. She made her choice 5 years ago. Now I've made mine. They'd barely made it through the first round of introductions when Marcus appeared, his face pale and strained. Boss, we have a problem. I need you to come with me. Now. Luigi's expression hardened. What kind of problem? The kind that can't wait. Marcus's eyes flicked to Claire nervously. It's about the cameras. We found something. I'll be right back, Luigi told Claire, pressing a kiss to her temple. Stay with Tony. Don't leave his sight. Claire watched him disappear into the crowd with Marcus, unease prickling at the base of her spine. Tony materialized beside her, his massive presence both comforting and obvious. Champagne, Miss Ross? A server appeared with a tray. No, thank you. Claire's instincts were screaming that something was wrong. Where had Luigi gone? Why did Marcus look so panicked? Claire Ross. Sophia's voice was honey and poison as she appeared beside them, a glass of champagne in one perfectly manicured hand. Enjoying your Cinderella moment? Miss Caruso. Claire kept her voice neutral. Lovely event. It is, isn't it? My family has hosted this gala for 20 years. Sophia's smile was razor sharp. Tell me, does Luigi talk about me when you're alone? Does he mention how good we were together? He mentions that you couldn't handle his world and ran away. Claire replied coolly. That seems like all I need to know. Sophia's eyes flashed with anger. You stupid little girl. You have no idea what you've stepped into. Luigi doesn't love you. He's using you to make me jealous, to prove some point to my father. If you really believed that, you wouldn't be here trying to convince me. Claire turned to walk away, but Sophia caught her arm. I'm trying to save your life, Sophia hissed. The Benedettis aren't playing games, Claire. They want Luigi dead, and anyone close to him becomes a target. Before Claire could respond, the lights flickered, once, twice. Then the entire ballroom plunged into darkness. Screams erupted around them. Tony's hand immediately grabbed Claire's arm, pulling her close. Stay down! Gunshots cracked through the darkness, and Claire's heart stopped. Where was Luigi? Was he safe? We need to move, Tony said urgently, guiding her toward what she hoped was an exit. Now, Miss Ross. They'd barely made it 3 steps when someone grabbed Claire from behind, yanking her away from Tony with brutal force. She tried to scream, but a hand clamped over her mouth. Quiet, or I put a bullet in your pretty head, a man's voice growled in her ear. The lights came back on in a blinding flash, and Claire found herself at the center of the ballroom with a gun pressed to her temple. The man holding her was stocky and middle-aged, his expensive suit at odds with the violence in his grip. The crowd had scattered to the edges of the room. Tony stood frozen, his weapon drawn but useless with Claire in the line of fire. And Luigi stood 20 feet away, his face a mask of cold fury, his own gun pointed directly at Claire's captor. Behind him, Marcus was on the ground, blood seeping from a wound in his shoulder. Let her go, Benedetti. Luigi's voice was deadly calm. This is between you and me. Is it? The man, Benedetti, laughed harshly. You've been interfering with my operations for 2 years, Verone, blocking my deals, buying out my suppliers, turning my own people against me. And now you parade this little whore around like she's a queen? The gun pressed harder against Claire's temple, and she whimpered despite herself. Luigi's eyes flicked to hers, and what she saw there made her breath catch. Not just fury, but fear. Real, genuine fear. You want to get to me? Here's your chance. Luigi slowly lowered his gun, setting it on the floor. Let Claire go. Take me instead. Luigi, no. Claire tried to struggle, but Benedetti's grip only tightened. Touching, Benedetti sneered. The great Luigi Veroni, brought low by a maid. My daughter was right about you. You're weak. Your daughter? Claire's mind raced. Sophia? Surprise! Sophia's voice came from behind them, cold and triumphant. She stepped into view, no longer playing the jilted lover. Her smile was pure malice. Did you really think the Benedettis could have gotten to you without inside help, Luigi? I've been planning this for 5 years. Luigi's expression didn't change, but Claire saw his hands clench. You're Benedetti's daughter. The engagement was a setup from the beginning. Finally catching on? Sophia laughed. My father wanted your territory. I was supposed to marry you, learn your secrets, and hand you over. But you were so damn honorable, so loyal to your precious family business. You wouldn't tell me anything useful. So you created a scene, ended the engagement, and disappeared. Luigi's voice was ice. Made me think you were Antonio Caruso's daughter. A clever lie. Antonio played along beautifully. He hates you enough to help destroy you. Sophia moved closer to Luigi, her expression twisted with obsession. But then you had to go and find this nobody. This nothing of a girl who you suddenly care about more than you ever cared about me. Because she's real, Luigi said quietly, his eyes on Claire. Because she doesn't play games or lie about who she is. Because when I look at her, I see a future I actually want. Claire's heart cracked at the raw honesty in his voice. Even with a gun to her head, even knowing they might both die here, those words meant everything. How romantic, Benedetti snarled. Now here's what's going to happen, Verone. You're going to sign over your operations to me. Every business, every property, every asset. Or I paint this ballroom with your girlfriend's brains. Don't do it, Claire said, finding her voice despite her terror. Luigi, don't give him anything. Brave little thing, isn't she? Benedetti's laugh was cruel, but stupid. Doesn't she know you'd burn the world for her? Luigi's eyes never left Claire's face. You're right. I would. Then sign the papers. They're in my jacket pocket. Antonio Caruso is outside with a notary. One signature, and your empire is mine. Claire watched Luigi's internal struggle, saw the moment he made his decision. He was actually going to do it. He was going to sacrifice everything he'd built, everything his family had died for, to save her life. No, she said firmly. Luigi, no. You can't. Yes, I can. Luigi's voice was rough with emotion. You're worth more than any empire, Tesoro. You're worth everything. As Benedetti reached for the papers, Claire made a split-second decision. She'd spent her whole life being careful, being safe, letting others make the bold moves. Not anymore. She slammed her head backward into Benedetti's face with all her strength. His grip loosened for just a second, long enough for her to drop and roll away. Gunshots exploded around her, and Claire's ears rang as she scrambled behind an overturned table. When the smoke cleared, Benedetti was on the ground, blood spreading across his chest. Tony stood over him, his weapon still raised. Luigi was beside Claire in an instant, his hands running over her frantically. Are you hurt? Claire, talk to me. Are you hurt? I'm okay. I'm okay. Claire threw her arms around his neck, trembling with shock and adrenaline. Is he dead? Luigi's voice was flat. Tony's shot was clean. It's over. But it wasn't. Sophia stood at the edge of the room, her face twisted with rage and desperation. This isn't over. My father had backup plans. You think killing him solves anything? There are a dozen more ready to take his place. Then I'll handle them too. Luigi stood, pulling Claire up with him and tucking her protectively behind his body. But you, Sophia, you're finished. The NYPD is outside. You'll be charged with conspiracy, attempted murder, and a dozen other crimes that'll put you away for life. Sophia laughed. The sound unhinged. You think I'm going to prison? You think I'll just let you have your happy ending with her? She pulled a small pistol from her clutch, aiming it at Claire with shaking hands. Everything happened in slow motion. Luigi stepped in front of Claire completely, shielding her with his body. Tony raised his weapon, and Claire saw Sophia's finger tighten on the trigger. The shot rang out, but it wasn't Sophia's gun. Tony had fired first, and Sophia crumpled to the ground, the pistol clattering from her hand. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Luigi turned, crushing Claire against his chest so tightly she could barely breathe. "Never again," he said fiercely into her hair. "I'm never putting you in danger like this again. Never." Claire clung to him, her whole body shaking. "Is she alive?" Tony shot her in the shoulder. "She'll survive to stand trial." Luigi pulled back just enough to frame her face in his hands, his eyes blazing. "You're insane. Brilliant and brave and absolutely insane. You could have died." "So could you." Claire's hands fisted in his shirt. "You were going to give up everything for me." "I'd do it again, 1,000 times over." Luigi's kiss was desperate and claiming, full of relief and promise and possession. When he finally pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. "You're mine, Claire Ross. For better or worse, through danger and chaos, you're mine. Say it." "I'm yours," Claire whispered, meaning it with every fiber of her being. "And you're mine." Around them, police flooded the ballroom. Paramedics rushed to Marcus and Sophia. The gala guests buzzed with shock and excitement. But in the center of it all, Luigi and Claire stood wrapped in each other, a small island of certainty in the chaos. "Take me home," Claire said quietly. "Just take me home." Luigi nodded, his arm wrapping possessively around her waist as he guided her through the crowd. But as they reached the exit, Claire couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong. Marcus was being loaded onto a stretcher, and as they passed, he caught Luigi's arm. "Boss, I need to tell you something. About the cameras. We found—" "Not now, Marcus. Rest. We'll talk tomorrow." But Marcus's grip tightened desperately. "No, you don't understand. There's still one we can't find. And it's not in the penthouse. It's—" His words were cut off as the paramedics pulled him away, and Claire felt ice settle in her stomach. One camera left, still hidden, still watching. What else didn't they know? The photographs arrived 3 days after the gala, slipped under the penthouse door in an unmarked manila envelope while Luigi was in a security meeting and Claire was trying to read in the living room. She almost didn't open it, almost called Tony to check it first. But the envelope had her name written on it in elegant script, and curiosity won over caution. That was her first mistake. The photos spilled across the coffee table like accusations. Luigi and Sophia, standing close in what looked like the plaza's private garden. Sophia's hand on Luigi's chest. Luigi's head bent toward hers. And worst of all, a photo of them kissing. Sophia's arms wrapped around his neck, his hands on her waist. The timestamp read 3 days ago, the night of the gala. While Claire had been getting ready, believing Luigi when he said he'd chosen her. Claire's hands shook as she gathered the photos, her vision blurring with tears she refused to let fall. There had to be an explanation. Luigi wouldn't. He couldn't. "Claire?" Luigi's voice came from the hallway. "Tesoro, where are you?" She couldn't answer, couldn't make her voice work past the crushing weight in her chest. When Luigi entered the living room and saw the photos scattered on the table, his face went pale. "Where did you get those?" His voice was tight, controlled. "Someone left them." Claire finally looked at him, and the hurt must have shown on her face because Luigi flinched. "Tell me they're fake. Tell me this is Sophia playing games." Luigi moved toward her, but Claire stepped back. "Don't. Just answer the question. They're real." The admission hit like a physical blow. "But Claire, you have to let me explain." "You kissed her." Claire's voice cracked despite her efforts to stay strong. "The same night you told me you'd chosen me. The same night you said I made you want things you thought you'd given up on." "I didn't kiss her. She kissed me." Luigi ran his hands through his hair, frustration and desperation warring on his face. "She cornered me in the garden right before the gala started. Said she had information about her father's plans. When I got close enough to hear her, she grabbed me and you just let her?" for about 2 seconds before I pushed her away. Luigi pulled out his phone, scrolling rapidly. Tony has the security footage. You can see the whole thing. Claire, I swear to you, I wanted nothing to do with it. Claire wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly it physically hurt. But doubt had taken root, poisoned by the photos and Sophia's earlier warnings. Why didn't you tell me? She asked quietly. 3 days, Luigi. You've been with me every night, and you never mentioned it. Because it meant nothing. Because I knew how it would look, and I didn't want to hurt you over Sophia's manipulations. Luigi took a step closer, and this time Claire didn't move away. You have to trust me, Tesoro. After everything we've been through. That's just it. Claire's voice broke. We've been through so much in such a short time. 2 weeks ago, I was your maid. Now I'm living in your penthouse, people are shooting at us, and I'm supposed to just trust that I belong in your world? You do belong, do I? Claire gestured around the opulent penthouse. Look at this place, Luigi. Look at what you have, what you are. You're Luigi Verone. You own half of New York. You have power and money and a life I can't even comprehend. And I'm just... everything. Luigi closed the distance between them, his hands framing her face with desperate tenderness. You're everything, Claire. You're the reason I wake up wanting to be better. The reason I'm even thinking about stepping away from the parts of my business that keep me up at night. Don't. Claire pulled away, wrapping her arms around herself. Don't change for me. That's not fair to either of us. Then what do you want? Frustration bled into Luigi's voice. Tell me what you need from me, and I'll give it to you. I need time. The words came out before Claire could stop them. I need space to think without you looking at me like that, without feeling like I'm drowning every time you touch me. Luigi's expression shuddered, and Claire immediately wanted to take the words back. But pride and hurt kept her silent. Fine. His voice was cold now, distant. Take all the time you need, but you're not leaving this penthouse until we know it's safe. Non-negotiable. He turned and walked toward his bedroom, and Claire felt something crack in her chest. Luigi, wait. He paused at the doorway without turning around. For what it's worth, Claire, you're wrong about one thing. You're not just anything. You never were. Then he was gone, and Claire was alone with the photographs and her doubts. For 2 days, they barely spoke. Luigi threw himself into work, leaving early and returning late. When they did cross paths, he was unfailingly polite and devastatingly distant. Claire hated it, hated the loss of his warmth, his teasing, the way he used to look at her like she was precious. But her pride wouldn't let her apologize. Not until she understood her own feelings. Not until she could separate the intensity of their attraction from the reality of building something real. On the 3rd morning, Claire woke to find Tony waiting in the kitchen with an uncomfortable expression. Miss Ross, I need to show you something. It's the security footage from the gala. The boss said you should see it. Claire's heart clenched. He told you to show me? He said you deserved the truth, even if you didn't want to hear it from him. Tony pulled up the footage on a tablet. This is from the garden cameras. Claire watched as Luigi appeared on screen, checking his phone. Then Sophia entered the frame, her body language aggressive and seductive. They spoke for less than a minute before Sophia suddenly grabbed Luigi's face and kissed him. The footage clearly showed Luigi's immediate reaction, his hands coming up to her shoulders, pushing her away firmly. The kiss lasted maybe 3 seconds before he had her at arm's length, his expression furious. There's audio too, Tony said quietly. Do you want to hear it? Claire nodded, her throat tight. Luigi's voice came through the speakers, cold and cutting. That was a mistake, Sophia. The last one you'll make with me. Stay away from Claire. Stay away from me. If I see you anywhere near us again, I won't be responsible for what happens. Sophia's laugh was bitter. You'll regret choosing her over me, Luigi. She'll never understand you the way I do. She'll never be able to handle your world. She already handles it better than you ever did. Because she's brave enough to be honest about her fears instead of playing games. The footage ended, and Claire sat in silence, shame and regret washing over her. Luigi had been telling the truth. He'd pushed Sophia away immediately, and she doubted him. There's something else you should know, Tony said carefully. "The boss has been working on something. For you. Come with me." Tony led her to Luigi's private office, a room she'd been avoiding since their fight. He gestured to the desk, where papers were spread across the surface. Claire moved closer, her eyes widening as she realized what she was looking at. Legal documents, business transfers, and at the center, a proposal for a new foundation. "The Claire Ross Foundation for Underprivileged Youth," she read aloud, her voice shaking. "Providing scholarships and opportunities for young people from difficult backgrounds." "He's been working on it since the night you told him about your sister," Tony explained, "about how you couldn't afford to send her to nursing school. He's seeding it with $10 million. Your sister will be the first recipient." Tears spilled down Claire's cheeks. "He did this for Emma?" "He did it for you, because he knows family means everything to you." Tony's expression softened. "The boss has his faults, Miss Ross. His world is dangerous, and his past is bloody. But when he loves someone, there's no half measures. It's everything or nothing." "Where is he?" "Meeting with the feds. They want his testimony against the Benedetti organization. It'll take hours." Claire looked at the foundation documents, at the proof of Luigi's feelings written in legal terms and financial commitments. She'd been so wrong, so focused on her insecurities that she'd hurt the one person who'd seen past her circumstances to who she really was. She had to fix this. Had to tell him. The building's fire alarm suddenly blared to life, red lights flashing in the hallway. Tony immediately grabbed Claire's arm. "Move, now." "What's happening?" "I don't know, but we're not waiting to find out." Tony spoke rapidly into his radio as he pulled Claire toward the emergency stairs. "All units, report. What's the situation?" Static answered him. Then nothing. "That's not good," Tony muttered, drawing his weapon. "Stay behind me." They'd barely made it to the stairwell when smoke began seeping under the door. Real smoke, thick and black. This wasn't a drill. "We need another exit," Claire said, coughing. Tony tried the other doors on the floor, but they were all locked. "Someone sealed us in. This is a trap." Claire's mind raced. She'd cleaned this penthouse for months. She knew every inch of it. "The service elevator. It has a separate power source for maintenance. If we can get to it, lead the way." They ran through the smoke-filled hallway, Claire's eyes burning and her lungs screaming. She found the hidden panel that accessed the service areas, grateful for all those months of memorizing the building's layout. The service elevator was small and old, but it worked. As the doors closed and they began descending, Tony pulled out his phone. "Still no signal. We're being jammed." He looked at Claire grimly. "This wasn't an accident. Someone tried to trap us up there." "But who?" "Sophia's in custody. Benedetti's dead. His organization isn't." The elevator jolted to a stop on the lobby level, and Tony positioned himself in front of Claire. "When these doors open, we run. Don't stop. Don't look back. Get to the street and find the nearest cop." "Understood." "What about you?" "I'll be right behind you." The doors opened onto chaos. The lobby was filled with smoke and panicked residents. Through the haze, Claire saw figures moving with purpose, not panic. Men in dark clothes spreading the smoke with deliberate efficiency. "Run!" Tony shoved her forward just as gunfire erupted behind them. Claire ran, her heart pounding, Luigi's name a prayer on her lips. She burst through the building's front entrance into the cold morning air, immediately spotting police cars and fire trucks. "Help!" she screamed. "There are people inside! They're trapped!" A firefighter grabbed her, pulling her away from the building. "Ma'am, we need you to—" "Claire!" Luigi's voice cut through everything else, and suddenly he was there, his hands on her face, his eyes wild with fear. "Dio mio, you're okay. You're okay. Tony's still inside. He saved me, but he's—" "I know. My team's getting him out." Luigi pulled her against his chest, his arms crushing her close. "When I got the call about the fire, when I couldn't reach you, I'm sorry." Claire clutched his jacket, the words tumbling out desperately. "I'm so sorry, Luigi. I saw the footage. I know Sophia kissed you. I know you pushed her away. I should have trusted you. I should have—" "Stop." Luigi pulled back just enough to look at her, his expression fierce. You had every reason to doubt. My world is insane and dangerous, and I pulled you into it without preparing you for what that meant. But Claire, I need you to hear this. His hands framed her face, his thumbs wiping away tears she hadn't realized were falling. I have never lied to you. Not once. And I never will. When I said you were mine, I meant it. When I said I'd burn the world for you, I meant that too. I know. Claire's voice broke. I know that now. I was just scared. Scared that I wasn't enough. That I couldn't compete with your past or your world or... You don't have to compete. Luigi's kiss was gentle this time, reverent. You already won, Tesoro. The moment you warned me about that camera, you won. Everything else has just been me trying to be worthy of you. Behind them, Tony emerged from the building supported by 2 firefighters, coughing but alive. Relief flooded through Claire. The fire's out, one of the firefighters reported. Looks like it was deliberately set. Accelerant in the stairwells, exits blocked. If you hadn't used the service elevator, who did this? Luigi's voice was deadly quiet. Who tried to kill her? We're reviewing security footage now, a detective said, approaching them. Mr. Verone, we need to talk. This is the 3rd attempt on Miss Ross's life in 2 weeks. We need to consider witness protection. No. Luigi's arm tightened around Claire. She stays with me. With all due respect, sir, your protection hasn't been sufficient because someone on my team is a traitor. Luigi's expression was granite. But I know who now. And they're about to learn what happens when you threaten what's mine. Claire looked up at him, seeing the ruthless man Sophia had warned her about, the one with blood on his hands and ice in his veins. But when his eyes met hers, they softened. Trust me one more time, he said quietly. Let me end this. Then we can figure out what comes next. For us. Claire thought about the Foundation documents in his office, about Tony taking a bullet to protect her, about Luigi's face when he'd thought she was dead. I trust you, she said simply. But Luigi, when this is over, we need to talk. Really talk. About what this is, what we want it to be. I already know what I want. Luigi's kiss was soft, a promise. I want forever. I want to wake up with you every morning and fall asleep with you every night. I want to give you the world and watch you make it better. I want everything, Claire. The question is whether you want it too. Before Claire could answer, Tony called out weakly from the ambulance. Boss, you need to hear this. I know who set the fire. They rushed to his side. Tony's face was gray with smoke inhalation, but his eyes were alert. It was Marcus, he said. I saw him on the security feed before the cameras went out. He's been working with what's left of the Benedetti organization. The shoulder wound at the gala? He shot himself to look like a victim. Luigi's expression turned murderous. Where is he now? Gone, but boss, there's more. Tony coughed roughly. Marcus said something before he ran. He said Sophia was just the distraction. The real target was never you. It was always Claire. Claire felt the blood drain from her face. Why? I'm nobody important. That's what we thought too. Tony pulled out his phone, showing them a photo. Until we found this in Marcus's office. It was a birth certificate, Claire's birth certificate, but the father's name made her stomach drop. Antonio Benedetti. That's impossible, Claire whispered. My father died when I was a baby. My mother never. Your mother was Antonio Benedetti's mistress 24 years ago, Luigi said quietly, his face pale as he put the pieces together. Which makes you his daughter, his heir, and with him dead, you inherit everything. The world tilted. Claire grabbed Luigi's arm for support as the implications crashed over her. She wasn't just a maid who'd stumbled into danger. She was the daughter of the man who'd tried to kill Luigi, the heir to a criminal empire. And someone wanted her dead before she could claim it. Claire sat in Luigi's office, staring at the birth certificate, her entire world fracturing. Antonio Benedetti was her father, the man who'd held a gun to her head, who'd tried to destroy Luigi, who'd built an empire on blood and fear. That man's DNA ran through her veins. I need to call my mother. she said numbly. Luigi crouched in front of her, his hands covering hers. We'll call her together. But Claire, this changes nothing between us. It changes everything. Claire looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. Your enemy was my father. The man who tried to kill you was a monster who happened to share your DNA. That's all. Luigi's voice was fierce. You are not him. You are nothing like him. Before Claire could respond, her phone rang. Unknown number. With shaking hands, she answered. Claire Ross. The voice was female, cold, efficient. Or should I say Claire Benedetti? My name is Victoria Chen. I was your father's attorney. We need to meet. I don't want anything from him. That's unfortunate because he left everything to you. 200 million in assets, legitimate businesses, property holdings across 3 states, and a letter explaining why he kept you secret. Victoria paused. He also left information about who's trying to kill you. Meet me at the Mandarin Oriental in 1 hour. Come alone, or the offer disappears. The line went dead. Luigi's expression was thunderous. Absolutely not. It's a trap. Maybe, or maybe it's the only way to end this. Claire stood, her fear transforming into determination. If my father left information about who wants me dead, I need to see it. Then I'm coming with you, she said alone. I don't care what she said. Luigi pulled her against him. I'm not losing you, Claire. Not to Marcus, not to whoever's pulling his strings, not to anyone. Tony appeared in the doorway, still pale but upright. Boss, we've got a location on Marcus. He's holed up in a warehouse in Red Hook. We can have a team there in 20 minutes. Luigi's jaw clenched. Do it. I want him alive. He's going to tell me everything. What about the lawyer? Claire asked. We go together, but we do it smart. Luigi turned to Tony. I want every exit of that hotel covered. Snipers on the adjacent buildings. If this is an ambush, I want to know before we walk into it. 40 minutes later, Claire and Luigi entered the Mandarin Oriental's private dining room. Victoria Chen was exactly what Claire expected, mid-50s, impeccably dressed, with eyes that calculated everything. Mr. Verone, I said alone. And I said no. Luigi remained standing, his body angled protectively toward Claire. Whatever you have to say, you can say in front of both of us. Victoria's smile was thin. Very well, Claire. Your father knew about you your entire life. He paid your mother's rent, funded your education, watched from a distance. He stayed away because he knew his world would destroy you. Then why leave me everything? Claire demanded. Because 3 months ago, he learned he had terminal cancer. 6 months to live, maybe less. He wanted to give you a choice. Walk away clean, or claim your inheritance and the power that comes with it. Victoria slid a thick envelope across the table. This letter explains everything, including why Marcus Delgado wants you dead. Claire opened the envelope with trembling hands. Her father's handwriting was bold, unapologetic. Claire, if you're reading this, I'm dead. Good. I was a terrible man who did terrible things. But I loved your mother and I loved the idea of you. A daughter who could be everything I wasn't. Marcus Delgado is my nephew, my sister's son. He expected to inherit everything. When I changed my will to leave it all to you, he swore he'd kill you before you could claim it. He's been planning this for months, using Sofia Caruso as a distraction. I'm sorry I never met you. I'm sorrier that my death puts you in danger. But if you're strong enough to survive what's coming, you'll have the resources to build something better than I ever did. The choice is yours. Walk away or fight for what's yours. Either way, I hope you're braver than I was. Claire's hands shook as she finished reading. Marcus was her cousin, family, and he wanted her dead for money. There's more, Victoria said. Antonio transferred several legitimate businesses into a trust for you before he died. Real estate, restaurants, import companies. All clean, all legal. Worth about 50 million. The rest, the criminal operations, the illegal assets, those die with him, unless you choose to claim them. I don't want them, Claire said immediately. Smart girl. Victoria pulled out more documents. Sign these and the legal business is transferred to you immediately. The illegal operations will be dismantled by the FBI. Antonio had already negotiated immunity for you in exchange for his testimony against other families. Luigi's phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression darkening. Marcus is gone. He killed 3 of my men getting out of the warehouse. He'll come for Claire next, Victoria said calmly. He can't let her inherit. The moment these documents are filed, he loses everything. Then we don't file them, Luigi said. We use Claire as bait. Absolutely not. Claire turned to him. I'm not risking your life to... It's not your decision. Luigi's voice was steel. Marcus has killed 6 people trying to get to you. He nearly burned down my building with you inside. This ends now, tonight. How? Claire demanded. Luigi's smile was predatory. We give him exactly what he wants, a chance to kill you. 2 hours later, Claire stood alone in the empty parking garage beneath Antonio Benedetti's former office building, her heart pounding. She wore a wire, had Tony and 20 men positioned throughout the building, and Luigi watching from a van outside. But she'd never felt more exposed. He's here, Tony's voice crackled in her earpiece. Northeast entrance, coming your way. Marcus emerged from the shadows, a gun in his hand and madness in his eyes. Cousin Claire, finally, we meet properly. Marcus. Claire kept her voice steady. It doesn't have to be this way. Yes, it does. He moved closer, the gun aimed at her chest. I've worked for the Benedetti family my entire life. Did their dirty work, killed their enemies, sacrificed everything. And Antonio leaves it all to you? His bastard daughter who didn't even know he existed? I don't want it. The criminal empire, the blood money, it's yours. Just let me walk away. Marcus laughed bitterly. You think I'm stupid? The moment you signed those trust documents, you became a threat. Dead heirs can't contest wills, Claire. Then you're going to have to shoot me in front of 20 witnesses, Claire said quietly. Because I'm not making this easy for you. I was hoping you'd say that. Marcus raised the gun. Any last words? Yes. Claire met his eyes steadily. I forgive you. The words seemed to hit Marcus harder than any bullet could. His hand wavered, confusion flickering across his face. What? You're angry and hurting and you feel like you've been robbed of what's yours. I understand that. But killing me won't fill that emptiness, Marcus. It'll just make you more of a monster. You don't know anything about me. I know you're my family. I know Antonio loved you enough to trust you with his business for 20 years. That has to count for something. Claire took a step closer, ignoring Luigi's cursed warning in her earpiece. Put down the gun. We'll figure this out together. For a moment, Claire thought she'd reached him. Marcus's expression crumbled, his gun hand dropping slightly. Then gunfire erupted from above them. Claire dove behind a car as bullets rained down, Marcus returning fire toward the source. Through the chaos, she heard Luigi's roar of fury. It's a setup, Tony's voice shouted through the earpiece. There are more of them! Marcus grabbed Claire, hauling her up with the gun pressed to her temple. Tell Verona to back off or I'll paint this garage with your brains. Let her go, Marcus! Luigi's voice echoed through the garage as he emerged from cover, his own weapon trained on Marcus. This is between you and me now. No, this is between me and the bitch who stole my inheritance. Claire felt the gun press harder against her skull and closed her eyes, preparing for the end. But then Emma's face flashed through her mind. Her sister, who needed her. Luigi, who'd promised her forever. She wasn't ready to die. Claire slammed her elbow into Marcus's ribs, twisting away from the gun. The shot went wild, and suddenly Tony was there, tackling Marcus to the ground. More gunshots, more shouting, and then Luigi had her in his arms, dragging her behind cover. Are you insane? He snarled, but his hands were gentle as they ran over her, checking for injuries. You could have been killed. But I wasn't. Claire grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. It's over, Luigi. It's finally over. But it wasn't. Marcus, bloodied and beaten, pulled something from his jacket. If I can't have the Empire, nobody can. The grenade hit the ground between them and time seemed to stop. Luigi didn't hesitate. He threw himself over Claire, his body covering hers completely as the explosion ripped through the garage. When the smoke cleared and Claire's ears stopped ringing, Luigi was still over her, blood seeping from his back. "Luigi!" she screamed. "Stay with me!" His eyes opened, focusing on her face with effort. "Worth it," he whispered. "You're worth everything, Tesoro." Then paramedics were there, pulling them apart, and Claire was screaming Luigi's name as they loaded him into an ambulance. The hospital waiting room smelled like disinfectant and despair. Claire sat with blood, Luigi's blood, still staining her clothes, her hands trembling as she clutched the coffee Tony had forced into her grip. She hadn't drunk any of it, couldn't drink it, could barely breathe. "He's going to be fine," Tony said for the 100th time, his own face pale beneath the bruises. "The boss is too stubborn to die. He threw himself on a grenade for me." Claire's voice was hollow. "Tony, if he doesn't make it, he will." Tony's conviction was absolute. "I've known Luigi Verone for 15 years. I've seen him survive things that should have killed him 3 times over. He's not leaving you, Miss Ross. Not when he finally found something worth living for." The surgeon emerged before Claire could respond, still in his scrubs. "Family of Luigi Verone?" Claire stood on shaking legs. "I'm his—" She paused, realizing she didn't have a label for what she was. His girlfriend seemed too small a word for what they'd become. "She's his everything," Tony said firmly. "How is he?" "Lucky. The shrapnel missed his spine by millimeters. We removed 17 pieces from his back and shoulder. He's going to need physical therapy, but he'll make a full recovery." The surgeon smiled tiredly. "He's asking for Claire. Won't let us sedate him until he sees her." Claire's knees nearly buckled with relief. "Can I see him?" "Room 304, but keep it brief. He needs rest." Claire ran. She didn't care about hospital protocol or the nurses calling after her. She burst into Luigi's room and found him propped up in bed, his torso wrapped in bandages, his face pale but his eyes alert. "Tesoro." His voice was rough but warm. "Come here." Claire crossed to him carefully, terrified of hurting him. "You're insane, completely insane. You could have died. But you didn't. That's all that matters." Luigi's hand found hers, his grip weak but steady. "Is Marcus dead?" "The grenade killed him instantly." Claire's tears finally spilled over. "It's over, Luigi. Really over this time." "Good." Luigi tugged her hand gently. "Now come closer. I need to tell you something, and I'm not shouting it across the room." Claire leaned down carefully, mindful of his injuries. Luigi's free hand came up to cup her face, his thumb brushing away her tears. "I love you," he said simply. "I've known it since the night you warned me about the camera, but I was too afraid to say it. Afraid you'd run, afraid I'd scare you away. But I'm done being afraid, Claire. I love you. Completely. Eternally. Impossibly." Claire's breath caught, her heart expanding until it felt too big for her chest. "I love you too. God, Luigi, I love you so much it terrifies me." "Then marry me." The words were quiet, but certain. "Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. When all this chaos settles and you've had time to breathe. Marry me and let me spend the rest of my life proving you made the right choice." "That's not a proposal," Claire said through her tears. "That's a promise. It's both." Luigi's smile was tired but genuine. "Say yes, Tesoro. Put me out of my misery." "Yes." Claire kissed him carefully, mindful of his injuries. Yes to someday. Yes to everything. 3 months later, Claire stood in front of the mirror in Luigi's penthouse, their penthouse now, adjusting the simple gold necklace he'd given her that morning. The Emma Ross Nursing Scholarship had been awarded yesterday, fully funding her sister's education. The Claire Ross Foundation was thriving, helping dozens of young people escape poverty through education. And tonight, Luigi was taking her somewhere special. He'd been mysterious about it all week, that familiar gleam in his eye that meant he was planning something. "You look beautiful," Luigi said from the doorway, and Claire turned to find him in a dark suit, looking devastating despite the slight stiffness in his shoulder from the healing injuries. "Ready? You still won't tell me where we're going? And ruin the surprise?" Luigi crossed to her, pulling her close. "Never." The car took them north out of the city, and Claire watched the Manhattan skyline disappear behind them with growing curiosity. An hour later they pulled up to a beautiful estate in Westchester, all rolling hills and manicured gardens. "Luigi, what is this place?" "Our future, if you want it." He helped her out of the car, his hand warm and steady in hers. "I bought it last month. Far enough from the city for privacy, close enough for convenience. There's a main house, a guest cottage for when Emma visits, and 20 acres of land you can do whatever you want with." Claire stared at the property, her throat tight with emotion. "You bought us a house. I bought us a home." Luigi turned her to face him, his expression serious. "Claire, these last 3 months have been the best of my life, even with the physical therapy and the FBI investigations and all the chaos, because I got to come home to you every night. I got to wake up with you every morning. And I realized something." "What?" "That I don't want to wait for someday. I want to start our forever now." Luigi reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. "So I'm asking you properly this time, Tesoro. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life making you happy?" He opened the box, revealing a stunning emerald ring surrounded by diamonds. Claire's hands flew to her mouth as tears streamed down her face. "It's an emerald," Luigi explained, his voice thick with emotion. "Because you wore green the night I realized I was falling in love with you. The night I understood that everything I'd built meant nothing without someone to share it with." "Yes." Claire launched herself into his arms, laughing and crying at once. "Yes, yes. 1,000 times yes." Luigi caught her easily despite his healing shoulder, spinning her around before kissing her with a passion that made her forget everything except the feel of him, the taste of him, the absolute rightness of being in his arms. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Luigi slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. "How did you know my size?" "I have my ways." Luigi's smile was mysterious. "Come on, there's something else I want to show you." He led her through the house, past elegant rooms and soaring ceilings, until they reached a study overlooking the gardens. On the desk was a folder marked Verone Holdings, Restructuring Plan. "What's this?" "My exit strategy." Luigi turned to face her. "I'm getting out, Claire. Not all at once, but gradually. I'm selling the questionable operations, keeping only the legitimate businesses. In 5 years, maybe less, Luigi Verone will be nothing more than a boring real estate developer and restaurant owner." Claire's eyes widened. "Luigi, you don't have to do this for me. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for us. For the children I hope we'll have someday. I want to build a life that doesn't require looking over my shoulder. A life where our kids can be proud of their father." He pulled her close. "You made me want to be better, Tesoro. Now I'm actually going to do it." "I love you," Claire whispered against his chest. "So much. I love you too, now and always." They stood there as the sun set over their future home, wrapped in each other's arms, and Claire marveled at how much her life had changed. 6 months ago she'd been invisible, anonymous, just a maid scrubbing floors and counting pennies. Now she was Claire Ross, soon to be Claire Verone, engaged to the man she loved, running a foundation that changed lives, and standing in a house that would become their home. "What are you thinking?" Luigi asked softly. "That I should send Sophia a thank you card." Luigi pulled back, eyebrows raised. "Come again?" Claire laughed. "If she hadn't planted those cameras, if you hadn't needed a warning, we never would have happened." In a weird way, her jealousy gave me everything I never knew I wanted. "That's a very generous interpretation." Luigi kissed her forehead. "Though I suppose she is getting what she deserves. 20 years in prison is a long time to think about what she lost. Do you ever think about what your life would be like if I hadn't found that camera? Every day." Luigi's expression grew serious. "And every day I'm grateful you were brave enough to warn me, brave enough to trust me." Brave enough to love me despite everything. It wasn't that hard, Claire admitted. You made it easy. Liar. I made it complicated and dangerous and insane. True, Claire grinned, but it was never boring. Luigi laughed, the sound rich and warm. Come on, future Mrs. Verona. Let's go home and celebrate properly. Wait. Claire caught his hand. One more thing. When? When do you want to get married? Luigi's smile was pure joy. Yesterday. Tomorrow. Next week. Whenever you're ready, Tesoro. I'm not going anywhere. Next month, Claire decided impulsively. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. I don't need a big production. I just need you. Next month. Luigi sealed it with a kiss. I'll make it happen. And he did. 4 weeks later, Claire walked down the aisle of a small chapel in Tuscany, wearing a simple ivory gown and carrying wildflowers. Emma was her maid of honor, crying happy tears. Tony stood as Luigi's best man, looking uncomfortable in his suit, but grinning broadly. When Luigi saw Claire, his expression crumbled into pure emotion. He met her halfway down the aisle, unable to wait, taking her hand and raising it to his lips. You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, he whispered. You're not supposed to meet me until I get to the altar, Claire whispered back, laughing through her tears. I've never been good at following rules. Why start now? They spoke their vows with hands clasped and hearts full, promising forever in front of the people who mattered most. When the priest finally said they could kiss, Luigi pulled Claire into his arms and kissed her like they had all the time in the world. Because they did. They had forever. At the reception in a villa overlooking rolling vineyards, Claire stood with Luigi on the terrace, watching the sun set in brilliant oranges and pinks. Happy? Luigi asked, his arms wrapped around her from behind. Deliriously. Claire leaned back against him. Though I have one more surprise for you. Oh? Claire took his hand and placed it on her still flat stomach, watching his face in the reflection of the terrace doors. It took him a moment to understand, then his eyes went wide. Claire, are you... 8 weeks. I found out yesterday but wanted to wait until today to tell you. She turned in his arms, seeing joy and wonder and a trace of fear in his expression. We're having a baby, Luigi. You're going to be a father. Luigi's hands cupped her face reverently, his eyes suspiciously bright. A baby, Dio mio. We're having a baby. Then he was kissing her again, laughing and crying at the same time, holding her like she was the most precious thing in the world. I love you, he said fiercely. I love you so damn much, Claire Verone. I love you too. Claire smiled against his lips. My dangerous, protective, wonderful husband. Not so dangerous anymore, Luigi reminded her. Just a boring businessman now. Liar, you'll never be boring. Claire pulled him closer. But that's okay. I wouldn't want you any other way. As the stars came out over the Italian countryside and music drifted from the villa, Luigi and Claire danced slowly on the terrace, wrapped in each other, and the promise of all their tomorrows. It had started with a whispered warning about a camera in an office. It had survived bullets and betrayal, explosions and enemies, doubt and danger. And now it was forever. There forever. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.